Hello and welcome back. Now why don't you read Philippians 1 again today, and this time focus particularly on verses 9 to 11. I do hope that as you're reading the same chapter each day, you're finding that God says different things from it. We've been discovering how Paul, in spite of being chained up, prayed for the Christians in Philippi. Now in these verses, Paul reveals the content of his praying. It's quite nice to hear someone say, "Oh, I've been praying for you." But there's a cheeky side of me that wants to follow that up with, "Great, but exactly what have you been asking God to do? Just to be sure, you understand." Now, in these verses, Paul tells us, "I'm praying that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight." He is conscious that on some occasions, love can be blind. On others, it can be conditional or even manipulative. And the word he's using for love here is agape. It's a rich word, signifying a deep and committed and sacrificial kind of love. It's the kind of love that wants the very best and doesn't easily give up. And whereas love can sometimes be irrational, Paul prays that their love for Christ and their love for each other will be based on solid knowledge and depth of insight. Much more tangible and understandable than a fleeting romantic feeling. Now, that's a love that will last through the trials and difficulties of life. That's a love which can see past the surface to what our Father is doing in life. And it has a unique spin-off. When we love God and each other like this, God's best plans for us are more easily discerned. Look at verse 10. He says, "I pray this so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless." When the love of Christ is what motivates us, we can hear his voice more easily. And that's not all. Having our minds and our hearts infused with Christ's sacrificial, insightful love oozes out in the way we live. In the same way that each type of tree produces fruit that is biologically unique to that tree's genus, so being permeated with the love of Christ produces fruit of righteousness in us that is unique to each of us. In Galatians, Paul describes what this fruit looks like, and he describes joy and peace and patience and gentleness. They're all in the list. And these are not abstract qualities. They're evidenced in the way we act and react with each other. When we know when someone is gentle because they don't act or speak harshly. We can see when someone is patient because when they're being wound up, they don't rise to it. I pray that the fruit of righteousness will be seen in us as we minister at New Wine this year. Oh, and Paul adds one final observation. When we live like this, it's God who gets the glory. He gets the credit. Well, may God bless you.